I've always thought that it's a marker in the history, in the storytelling of a nation's history. So it tells you a story. If you demolish all this, young folks like you will be wondering, how did they live 100 years ago when there was no aircon? If you go to a very old HDB block, they never had a permanent roof, they never had clean water, they never had modern sanitation. But this building, this flat, gave them the opportunity to change their life. And because they changed their life, it changed the life of the family, which could be your mom and dad, and it changed your life. Otherwise, can you imagine that all of us would still be in kampongs? No, actually, you'll be surprised. If you look at the younger entrepreneurs, you'll find that there is a major commonality in all the emerging cities. You can actually find it to be very hip to be in an old building that's been modernized. So you take a look at the most successful conservation schemes in Shanghai along the Bund area, and there's this place called Xingdadi, where it's a series of old warehouses that were converted about 20 years back, and it is like now it's the address to be in Shanghai. If you want to open up a business and you say you're along the Bund, that means you've made it, you're there. If you say that you are in the World Trade Center, anybody can get into the World Trade Center. In Singapore, similarly, you find that a lot of the old shop houses along King George's Avenue, Jalan Besar, Joo Chiat, you find that it's very hip to be in these shop houses. It's not so much whether economically you'll be better off, it's more as to how do you create that balance between old and modern. No right formula to say that new is definitely more economically viable than old new or old. You know? It really depends on how you balance the whole context and how you come up with an equation that actually attracts investment. Just building a brand new building doesn't mean you're going to attract investment. You look at Dubai, half of it is empty. Do you really experience it to get goose pimples? Like you go to Rome and you go to the Colosseum or the Pantheon, or you go to Athens and you look at the Parthenon.
So it doesn't give...
I've been there and I get goose pimples just thinking about it. Can you experience that in virtual reality? I doubt so. To take a position that virtual reality can be a replacement for experience, I am skeptical about that. You may get the oral experience, which is visual, but you don't get the tactile experience, which is being there to feel it and touch it. What used to be a singular function, which is a cinema hall, today in time to come, the new building will hold the same footprint, but 2 times taller and having a lot more variety of functions within that space. Conservation is interesting. When the government first announced conservation in the early 80s, Tanjung Pagar, everybody was up in arms. Got to spend a lot more. Then suddenly they realized that conservation was a gold mine. No? You had an old dilapidated shop house. Most of it were family owned, passed from generation after generations. They didn't know what to do with it, so don't know what to do, leave it as it is, so it deteriorated, became dilapidated. Then overnight, suddenly conservation became hip. Then property which was worth nothing overnight became $1 million. Hey, I'm sitting on a gold mine, no? Who wants to buy? Yeah? So I think people didn't object because the conservation actually helped to enhance property values. There will be a segment within the community who will deride conservation, they'll poo-poo conservation. They have a point, and it's a matter of listening and finding out why do they take that position. Maybe you'll come to terms with the fact that, look, in a group of 100, if only 2 of them have that opinion, and maybe 50 of them are pro-conservationists, and you find the 48 say it doesn't matter, anything goes. You just go along with the flow, which is the 50 that's pro-conservation. Because you know that 50 are already there. Then you only need to preach to the 48 whom you can convert. The 2 of them you can't. For those who are anti-conservation, you got to ask them to give you specific examples as to why conservation has failed. From my experience and exposure, those who have been anti-conservationists are the very, very older folks, because it reminds them of their hardship days. So, you know, it's a matter of convincing and cajoling at the end of the day. But I find that even in buildings, the very old folks were anti-conservation. They say, what, rubbish lah, give me new lah, this one what, reminds me of like World War II lah, occupation lah, da 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 da. Yeah?